Welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode number 15, Saints, Sinners, and Spine Chillers.
Superman.
Hi, welcome again to episode 15 now of the Cult Faction Podcast, Saints, Sinners, and Spine Chillers. I'm Brett Summers, and joining me tonight are...
Paul Hawkins.
And Damien Hicks.
So as we look back on what's been quite a nice little sunny weekend, in the bank holiday weekend in the UK, hope it's good where you are and the rest of the world. I'll just ask you guys, what have you been catching up with? What have you been watching in this nice little bit of downtime that we've had?
You're going too fast.
Not the first time someone said that, but we'll... Normally it gets followed by some sort of pepper spray, but we're okay.
Well, I mean, I can be really quick, and that's not the first time I've said that either. But I've been on my holidays for the last week, so I have watched very little television, hardly anything. In fact, I have watched 2 films, one of which is Nobody, which we're going to talk about at the end of this podcast, I believe, if I read the notes correctly. But I have watched the best 80s film since 1990, and that film is Psycho Goreman. It's available on Shudder. I cannot recommend it enough. It is, as I said, the best 80s film since 1990.
I've seen the trailer, but for anyone, can we get a brief synopsis?
I'll give you a brief premise because I didn't write much down. So, an ancient evil alien once banished to Earth has been set free by 2 siblings and is now hell-bent on destroying all life on Earth and the universe. But there is a chink in his armor. Whoever holds his amulet has complete control over him, and that just happens to be the annoying little brat named Mimi. It's exactly as it sounds. A ancient alien type thing has been buried on Earth for millennia, it seems, and these 2 kids unearth him by accident. She's trying to bury her. Didn't quite catch whether it was older brother or younger brother. I think it must be younger by the dynamic, but I didn't quite catch that. She's trying to bury him alive, and she makes him dig his own grave, and then they come across this sort of box thing with a amulet, and they just happen to get the code right to release
Psycho Goreman,
who's not named Psycho Goreman at this point. And he breaks free, but she happens to be still holding this gemstone type thing. I think it is referred to as an amulet that has complete control over him if you hold it. So cue hilarious big scary monster jumping on one leg, big scary monster being dragged around the streets of whatever town it is they're in, being told.
Small town USA.
Yeah. I mean, it even has a montage in it of that him in a doing karaoke and going in and out of changing rooms trying to find the best clothes that suit him.
And that was on Shudder. Shudder, did you say?
Yeah. And
most
of it is practical effects. And as you know, I'm a big fan of practical effects. I'm not a fan of CGI. I think the monster, Psycho Goreman, in this looks far better than Motorhead or whatever his name was in Justice League. Not Motorhead. What's it called?
Steppenwolf. It was another band. You were right. I see where you're going.
But he looks so much better than that ridiculous CGI morphing, scaly
Power Ranger
shite. In fact, this has a really good not call back to Power Rangers, but some of the characters in it, you think, yeah, that's Power Ranger style costume. It's a must watch.
Cool.
Highly recommend. I
I will
cannot
do that.
recommend it enough. So if
It
you
was one of those ones
go away and watch it now.
we
But
got
more
the trailer
stuff's coming
sent to
on
us, and I
Shudder,
put
isn't it?
up. No, it is. It's Shudder's building up its own little thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's carving its own little niche, and yeah, it seems to be doing well. And but yeah, I remember we had the trailer for that when it came out, and it looked good. And then sort of I forgot about it with like all the other things that come in our mailbox and that, and yeah, and so I'm excited to check that one out. But that's pretty much, is that all you've been up to then? Because you've been out sunning yourself down.
That is all I've watched.
Holiday.
Unfortunately, I was not sunning myself because it pissed it down in Cornwall every day of the week, bar 2. So there's no need.
Did you
to
see
be
Dr.
sunning
Martin?
myself? Say
Did
again?
you see Dr. Martin?
No,
Dr.
it was
Martin.
wrong part of Cornwall.
It's Cornwall.
It's a big place.
I've been there.
So yeah,
lots of-
unfortunately, that's it. That's all I have to add to this.
No, that's fair enough. We'll move across the table. Mr. Paul W. Hawkins, what about yourself?
So it's been a long time since the last one, but finished One Division. Yeah, I'm not sure if I finished that last time, but I definitely finished it. Yeah, very good. I know there's rumors about will there be a second season. I think it finished well as it did. Doesn't necessarily need a second
Yeah.
season.
I don't think it does either. I agree with you.
But yeah, definitely worth getting through the first couple of episodes, like I had said that I would. And yeah, really good, really good season actually. Yeah, and you know, he even pulled on the old heartstrings at the end, and yeah, so that was quite cool. Then I, for some random reason, I recorded Green Lantern a long time ago, and just started playing it by mistake.
The Ryan Reynolds one.
Yeah, started
Yeah.
playing it by mistake, and then just ended up watching the whole film. So yeah, don't need to really talk about that. If you haven't watched Green Lantern,
But did
watch it.
on rewatching it again? Was there any? Did it stand out more, or was there anything you picked up whatever time round? Maybe the first time you were caught up in the buzz. This time it was.
No, but I
watching it
wasn't caught in the
fresh
buzz
eyes.
last time. No, it's not a great. I'll be honest with you, it's not a great film. Ryan Reynolds manages to hold it together somehow, but no, it's not a cohesive film. It's not particularly great. Unfortunately, I'm always puzzled that Tim Robbins is Thingy Bob's dad, even though he looks about the same age or just about 5-10 years older than his son in the film, which is a bit weird. But no, it's not a brilliant film. It's got some nice scenes in it, some funny moments, but it's basically Ryan Reynolds carrying the film as much as he can for a while. Yeah,
Anything
but anyway,
else?
yeah. So watched Trial by Fire on Netflix, which is a bit of a serious film. It stars Jack O'Connell and Laura Dern, aka well, we all know Laura Dern. But I was trying to think about what Jack O'Connell's been in. I can't picture it off the top of my head. So this is a more serious film about some guy that's been accused of murdering his 3 daughters in a house fire. Goes on death row. Basically disowned by everyone. Everyone hates him. Ends up getting in contact with Laura Dern as one of those kind of outreach programs where someone writes to you and then do they visit you. He swears that he's innocent, so she goes on a little bit of a campaign to try and free him, and over the course of years they form a friendship, and then there's other new evidence that comes out, and there's a race to get this evidence in front of the judge in time to save him. Does it happen? Doesn't it happen? Ooh, watch it and find out. It was an okay film. Again, there's been better films out there with the old death sentence and people on death row. This isn't one of the best films, but again, as far more of a TV movie, and it was okay. The other thing that I got round to watching was Little Things with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. And I think Damien did a review on this, and I kind of agree a lot with it. It is a real shame because it's got some really good actors in it, but it's just a poor version of an aspiring wannabe Seven. you know, and they don't pull it off in any way,
Stick
shape, or
everything
form.
confidential in there, and yeah,
Yeah,
trying to be that kind of
and
struggle
and
with
it is
noir.
it is a real shame because you know Jared Leto's not a bad actor, Denzel Washington's not a bad actor, and Rami Malek again not a bad actor. I think between them they may have even won some awards. You know,
It should not be a bad film. There shouldn't be a reason why it's as bad as it is. I don't understand it.
yeah, well, it's a rubbishy storyline. They don't build up the characters enough or make you even care about them. And then well, I was going to say the plot twists. I guess it is a plot twist, but even that isn't particularly great. You just don't really care about any of them.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. You're right. You don't give a shit whether they catch the right guy, even if you don't care whether he is the right guy or not. It kind of works out that he is, but yeah, crap.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's fair enough. What's that called? Just so I can remember to stay away from it.
Little
Little
things.
things.
Little things.
Because
stay away from little things.
Because then Denzel Washington mentions that saying once. You got to focus on little things or whatever.
Yeah,
so they
and
gave
the
it the
thing is, the
title.
trailer made it look really good. Made it look like it was a brooding.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna get down into the detail and figure out who this guy is, but he kind of just stumbles across him and goes, "That's the fella," and I'm gonna pursue him.
And it completely missed lots of points. But if they're going to make Denzel the real tragic character, then they probably should have done that in a lot better way, as opposed to someone that's just gone off to Beatnik County to become a deputy.
It doesn't really get into the detail of why he ended up where he is. You know it, it tells you, but it doesn't really make anything of that. It's just almost a throwaway scene.
And Jared Leto isn't as sinister as he potentially should have been to build up that part of the story. And Rami Malek was
just a bit
cardboard.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, in essence, cardboard, which again is a real shame. So
So the little things on Netflix, avoid it by the sound of it.
And I also went back
those 2 hours of your life.
And I also went back and watched Highlander.
Nice.
Yeah, that was on. I saw a bit of that. Did you watch?
I saw somewhere that they're
yes,
reboot Highlander.
Yeah, it's being remade, fresh from start. Yeah, no, I saw that. I've forgotten who it was now that was going to be it. But if it was that good, I would have remembered.
I'm thinking exactly.
There can only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a cartoon.
And a TV series.
Yeah. The TV series actually was probably the best thing in the end because it actually tried to pull it together. Christopher Lambert even turned up in a TV series.
Yeah,
that's not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, was it? He was just probably desperate for money at the time.
But you know, the TV series at least tried to explain it all a lot more rather than just change the concept of it with every film because there can only be one. But actually, there was one more. We thought you were the last one, but now there's another one.
Oh, and now we're aliens.
Oh yeah, that was a shame because Michael Ironside was amazing in that. It was just that they made them all alien. Well, he's amazing in everything, but
I was gonna say.
It was just like, you know, now you're aliens. Now, but then the third one, they weren't aliens again. They were from, We should do an in-depth look on why Highlander. Why Highlander was actually shit all along.
Anyway, let's. I don't think we can say it's shit. The first Highlander was all right. It's very dated now, and one of the things that as I was listening to
it was a Matrix, wasn't it? You know, they've done it.
But as I was listening to it late at night with everyone else asleep, I didn't quite realize how much high pitched screaming that there was in it, and just
I never realized how cheap some of it was as well. There was some real prisoner cell block H wall shaking and stuff. Like when they have to fight in the, is it in a church? No, it's not in a church because you can't fight on hollow ground. Like in an old castle, and it's almost like, I don't know if they borrowed like the local pantomime set or something, but there are some bits. So you go back and watch it, and you kind of like swing and miss, and you can see it clip the wall, and it's like, oh man, I don't remember it being like that sort of.
No, that's just the power of the Kurgan.
Yeah, he's that strong.
Yeah.
And what did you make of? Because you said you finally I got you to watch Solar Opposites at last. Did you like it?
It's okay. If I'm completely honest with you, it's another one like Invincible. I just struggled to find it as entertaining as you. I think.
Have you got to the wall yet, though? How many did you watch?
Oh, no, I just watched the first one.
I know you need to get to the wall. That's what it's all about. That'll
So,
make sense when you watch it.
as I said, I don't think it's bad.
You'll
I
love the
just
wall
don't.
bit. That'll be. Oh yeah, I mean the first bit it is very much Rick and Morty usual shocky comedy, but there's this whole subplot with the wall when that gets introduced, which is you basically from that point on you're watching two different shows at the same time.
Okay, and is one of them
Can't
good
really.
then?
Well, let you decide.
No, I'm just joking. I mean, as I said,
I'll let you
it's not
decide.
it's not bad. It's just I didn't find it earth-shattering,
I think
which
it
is
might
my
be
new groundbreaking.
worth at this point probably making people aware that we've had some major technical issues and we're almost 2 hours later recording this than we should be. So if we sound a little bit downbeat and thoroughly pissed off, it's because of those technical issues. So
Yeah, not because
No.
anything that we've
A lot of that is also down to the films that we've
Yeah.
been talking about. Yeah, we wasted a lot of hours that we're never going to get back.
But we do that so you don't have to.
Yeah.
We're like that
We're all
buffer
hard.
between. Yeah, we're saving you that time. For me this week, again, I haven't been doing too much really. I've just been going back through Inside number 9 again, which is obviously I've been watching the new ones as well, which makes it good. But I'm currently I've gone through season 2, which was amazing. That also has the greatest episode they ever made, the 12 Days of Christine. But then you've got the Trial of Elizabeth Gantz, which is the witch hunter one.
Yeah, yeah.
Cold Comfort, which is when he works at like the crisis sort of Samaritans
Yeah,
crisis party one, which is just weird.
yeah. That's a
one where
standout for me. That one.
Yeah, that was very good. Nana's Party one, which was just really weird, kind of a farce more than a mystery. That one.
Yeah, that's a kind of one of the ones where they point you in a direction for 10 seconds and is what you think is going to happen doesn't.
Yeah.
And they do a
And then
lot of it throughout that whole entire episode, don't they?
And and then there was seance time as well, where it looks like you're having a seance, but there's a twist to it, and it's got a really messed up ending that I totally forgot about, and it got me again.
I have to rewatch that one because I don't remember that ending now.
Yeah. I watched the Devil of Christmas one, which is it's very clever, but it wasn't my favourite because it's filmed like a 70s TV show as well. You get that real kind of
Yeah,
like
but you
how it
think
was
you're
made,
just
like
listening to director commentary, don't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, there was a nice bit to it, but it wasn't. I appreciate it for what it was, but it wasn't like my favourite one. Then there's that really weird one where they're all trying to pay a bill.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then the last one I've got to one to at the moment is the one with the crossword one with the riddle of the Sphinx, and he's the professor who does the cryptic crosswords.
Yeah.
Which
So I feel like
that sounds really weird.
I feel like I have to say that actually I might have been watching TV the other night and it just so happened to come on.
Oh,
and then I immediately turned it off as soon as it started because I wasn't sure whether it was a one that followed the others, and I didn't want to start watching one in case it ruined the whole series. But it sounds like they're just distinct,
No, they're all
distinct
self-contained.
episodes.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But yeah, and the
You
new
live and
ones
learn.
have been good as well. But it's all part of the fun. But that's been pretty much it for me this week. I've just sort of been chucking those on when I got a chance in between, just Or I did watch a Zip dance on ITV the other night, and then realised it was the Masked Dancer, and I turned over very quickly.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like the Masked Singer, but now they dance, and you've got to work out who they are.
Yep.
Right,
As soon as they start giving the clues, I'd be hooked in. So I had to get out quick before they shot one in my arm.
I must admit, I don't see the point in it. I did somehow get hooked to the Masked Singer, but this is a bit different because with the Masked Singer you can hear them singing, and there's nothing in this apart from the clues, so I can't be invested in it.
One thing from the bit I did see is that I don't know whoever it'll end up being under there, but it's nice to know that I can dance better than some celebrities on television, even without a costume.
Have you had
There's
verification for that?
But I just know.
Okay, it might be a matter of opinion, but you know.
No, there were some. It was just basic, like what I call John Travolta dancing. You know, it's just all in the hands. There was no like actual, you know, just no.
You do know that John Travolta has actually been in a number of films where he does some serious good dancing.
Yeah, but mainly with his hands. I don't see much footwork from John Travolta. He's an upper body dancer.
Okay. I'm not going to discuss John Travolta's back catalogue of dance films, but let's move on.
But watch his footwork. You never see it. You only ever see him do the top of the house stuff. He's no Swayze. He ain't a Swayze. Right then. So that's all what we've been watching at the moment. Anyone got anything else they've just remembered or anything? Oh no, I did watch Monster Squad as well.
Well,
I
you
went
by
back to
sounds
that
of it.
after from Damien's recommendation. Yeah, if you only watched it the other way, I thought I will go back and watch that again. And yeah, it does stand up. It also made me realise that you can get away with a lot more in a PG film in 1985 than you can nowadays. It's like the whole bit where they're like perving on the guy's sister because they can see her bedroom from the treehouse and stuff. You wouldn't get that anymore. And somebody smoked. I can't remember who it was. Someone smoked, and it was like, wow.
Smoked.
But yeah, that's enough of that one. Yeah,
Was there a
someone had a
trigger warning?
cigarette in it. Nope, they had a cigarette, and it looked like they enjoyed it. And that was in a kids' film, man. And also, there was a shitload of product placement. It's like, what? With all these Pepsis? Or whatever it was. But no, it was good. It was good. And Wolfman still got nards.
Yeah.
Which is still my favourite bit. Right, so I guess if that's all rounded up, it's now time for Drop Zone.
Drop zone.
Right then. So first up in the Drop Zone, we have got Mortel Season 2 trailer being released by Netflix. This apparently is a sort of little sleeper show that they've had. It's Season 2. I didn't even know it existed. And it's kind of got its own sort of international cult following. And yeah, so here we go. Yeah, so in Season 2 of Mortal, you've got two teenagers, Sophiane and Victor, who make a pact with the voodoo god Obi to allow them to solve and avenge the apparent murder of Sophiane's brother Leader. Sophiane is given the power by Obi to manipulate other people's actions, while Victor can read their minds. Both, however, must be present near each other for the power to work. Oh, there's a twist. They also enlist the help of Louisa, who practices voodoo with her grandmother, so they may be free of the grip that Obi has on them and banish Obi from the world. What did we think?
Well, it's no Princess and the Frog, which really looks at the voodoo realm in more of a grown-up fashion. It was a hard one for me because I wasn't sure where this was pitched, whether it's a teen kind of series or whatever, but it looked like
reminded me. I got like a Skins vibe, if you remember Skins.
Yeah, I mean there were some quite some of the fight sequences which looked like almost bare knuckle fighting looked quite in depth, should we say?
Yeah. Graphic, yeah.
Yeah, graphic, yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether this one really stands out for me as something that I would be in tune with. I think where I might use you as a guinea pig or someone else as a guinea pig, see if it's actually better than the trailer seemed. I mean, it didn't look bad, don't get me wrong. It's just I'm not sure whether it's going to work well with me.
Damien?
Music annoyed me, so I stopped watching the trailer. It was too loud, too in your face, couldn't take it. So
was it being edgy?
No, it was just
exactly like no, but was it trying to be like edgy and like, hey, look, we're loud and edgy and risky?
I didn't think too much in depth about what the music was trying to say to me. It just annoyed me, so I stopped. I'm sure it could be good
enough, but
they've lost me. Too loud.
Too loud. I'm afraid you're just too darn loud.
Exactly.
It's not appealing to old man Hicks.
No.
Yeah. Okay, next up, the trailer has been released for a Gunpowder Milkshake, which weren't a 90s indie band. They were, in fact, it's a movie directed by Navot Papashadow.
Sorry,
Navot
Who was that, Brett?
Navot Papashadow.
That's easy for
And
you
it
to
shows
say.
it shows what happens when the need to protect an 8-year-old girl results in a dangerous assassin reuniting with her mother and her lethal associates to take down a ruthless crime syndicate and its army of henchmen. And it stars
it
Karen
doesn't.
Gillan, Lena Headey, Carla Gugino, Chloe Coleman, Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, and Paul Giamatti. Yeah. There's
It
a
doesn't
lot
show.
of high Scrabble scores in that.
It doesn't show any of that. It shows if writers have watched Hotel Artemis and John Wick and think, oh, maybe we need to do something for that with women as protagonists, and just completely take it off. This felt to me like the modern version of Ghostbusters, which again has taken the original Ghostbusters and put a female cast in and tried to make
Everyone
make it
knows.
funnier.
Everyone knows. Regular listeners know our stance on that one.
Yeah,
But I was
so this
thinking, like, what
this
would
feels
make
like it's
John
done the
Wick
same
better?
thing.
Karen Gillan. It's easy. It's done.
Yeah, yeah.
What would?
Yeah.
Most
No.
films are better if you put Karen Gillan in it. I do find that.
Well, because you can say her name.
Yeah, that helps. That does help to start with. I'll be honest.
If only she started directing and producing as well. Eh?
One day.
It just seemed like a blatant rip-off, but with a female main cast and a small child thrown in. Because hey, why not?
Yeah, but sometimes that works. Why not have another action movie with a reformed hit woman that has to look after a kid instead of shoot people? I mean, the music was a bit loud for my liking, but
She does shoot people in this as well.
yeah, but for a different reason by the looks of it, rather than because she's.
And it sounds like it's a nice family drama when she reunites with her mum again.
Yeah,
yeah.
Might give it a go.
And obviously they find it funny that she keeps giving her daughter compliments, and it's all about how badass she is and how great a killer she is, because that seemed to be featured a few times on the trailer. It's like, oh my god, okay, it was maybe funny once. Is it going to be the whole thing throughout the film now, similar to AK Thunder Force or whatever it was? They've got one funny. No, but we've got this one funny type of line, so we're going to reuse it as much as we can to show how her mother and daughter are getting back together, and she's complimenting her all the time about how great killer she is. I don't know. I just not excited about it as well. Oh, I just not excited.
I reckon I would give it a watch anyway. For artistic reasons.
So will I.
Yeah,
I'll probably give it a watch.
Next
Let's be
up,
honest.
it is one of the trailers that, with the sound down, so it's not too loud. It's more Damien actually. Right, so another one. It was the teaser trailer that broke the internet. Cobra Kai season 4. Terry Silver returns. Where are we with Cobra Kai? I know we've talked about it before. Is everyone up to date or?
Yeah.
Kind of got a little bit bored with it, to be honest. I've not got through season 3.
Right, it's because
of all the young
music
people
was a
and
bit
their loud ways.
Just a bit loud. Yeah, they shout. I can't take
I just
it.
wanted them to trim a few more bonsai trees and a nice peaceful and quiet.
Yeah. No, there's no particular reason. I just haven't gone back to it. So, but it's very good. I'm being facetious for the sake of it. I just haven't got round to continuing. It's not a high priority for me.
Oh, but it will be now because Terry Silver's back. The evil guy from Karate Kid 3 who had the ponytail and everything. The man who actually set up Cobra Kai for John Kreese because he saved him in Vietnam, which we saw in season 3 of Cobra Kai. So he almost made Daniel San sound bad.
So I love Cobra Kai. Season 3 was yeah, ended on a real high. Yeah,
Oh.
there's obviously not much that's been given away by the trailer at the moment because it's just the shot of him. But yeah, that's enough to keep me going until they bring out hopefully a more of a trailer and release it. Was it next year?
I can't remember now. Let me just check. The one thing I did like about the trailer though is that I think the guys still. Oh no, they haven't really said much yet. All they've said is no, they haven't even given a date yet. They're just teasing. But it's like one of those like we're going to get you back for the new series, season 4. I've forgotten the actor's name as well, and he's clearly had a little bit of time to try and get that ponytail in, but it's not quite there yet. But they've gone with it rather than just give him a Rodney stick-on. But he's trying. But it's good. I mean, whoever the people behind that show know their lore. You know what I mean? They know every little fine detail in that program. And I still think at some point we're going to see Hilary Swank because she was the next Karate Kid. And I still think you're going to see her at some point at least show up on a Skype call to. It'll be like the anniversary of Mr. Miyagi's death or something, and she'll have a little cameo just to tie it in because they've said that does exist. They're counting it as part of it. So
cool.
Hopefully there'll be a point where she needs a few quid and maybe she's got a day off. And she'll go and do it for them.
Yeah.
Hey, they've got Elizabeth Shue back.
Exactly.
So it's cool to be in it now. You know what I mean? It isn't just like, oh, it's some show trying to live off an old film. Now it's become its own entity, really, franchise, whatever you want to call it. But so yeah, that's a cool one. We're all looking forward to that then. Next one, The Tomorrow War, which I'd never even heard of until the trailer popped out. It's coming on to Amazon. Yeah, I'd not seen anything of it, and then suddenly there was a trailer. I didn't know they were making a film or whatever. It was just
yeah. So yeah, from what I've heard, there must have been a first trailer around or some sneak preview, but critics have basically slated the original trailer. But I think people are a bit more impressed with this new one because it gives a bit more away.
Okay.
Right up my street. Time travel, happy days.
Well, I've got an issue with the time travel, actually. I'll run it by you in a minute. So let me just in the Tomorrow War, the world is stunned when a group of time travelers arrive from the year 2051 to deliver an urgent message. 30 years into the future, mankind is losing a global war against a deadly alien species. The only hope for survival is soldiers and civilians from the present day to be transported to the future and join the fight. Among those recruited is high school teacher and family man Dan Forrester, played by Chris Pratt, determined to save the world for his young daughter. Dan teams up with brilliant scientist Yvonne Strahovski and his estranged father, J.K. Simmons, in a desperate quest to rewrite the fate of the planet. Which sounds good. The trailer is what you'd expect. But if you've got an alien invasion 30 years into the future, why don't you go back in time to stop it happening to begin with? Because you're going to know where they're going to strike first and what they're going to do. Why do they want everyone to go to the future? That's a military strategy.
Maybe that's going to be explained in it. I mean, predetermination and all that stuff. So if you go back in time to prevent the alien invasion never happens, so you're not there to go back in time to prevent it. I don't know. I'm not
paradox.
Exactly.
Paradox. No, I'm just like, if they can do that, then
I think one of the things I struggled with, well, not that, because to be honest, I didn't think about that. But I thought if they've got the power to create a time machine, then surely they could just invest some of that capital and thought into creating better weapons or something, as opposed to time traveling to get people from the past, train them up to then fight.
Maybe time travel already existed, and this alien invasion took them by surprise, so they didn't have time to convert all that energy that they put into creating time travel into creating new weapons. Could have been a complete surprise. Like
you could take
either Invincible season episode 3 or whatever it is, when those random alien things just pop out of a time portal in the middle of some street in the middle of Chicago or wherever the thing's set. That was a complete surprise. No one saw that coming. So maybe it's a similar thing.
But you go back 30 years and you just build up your troops and build up the weaponry, and it's there 30 years later when the aliens come. As opposed to taking humans from 30 years ago.
It's not going to make much
Put
you
them
mean
in-
like
film, though, is it?
You mean like creating a stash?
Yeah, or just start the process going 30 years ago, and by the time the aliens come, you've got the whole world trained up, ready to fight.
Yeah, but that makes a very boring film. It's just going to be an hour and a
Also-
half of munition
Well-
factories and
Well, obviously,
also-
you could do a Teen Titans montage type thing. I'm not saying
Also,
film the whole
I
30
reckon
years.
it's going to be. Do you think it's going to be that it was sort of mankind's fault, and we
Normally
end up
is, isn't
kind
it?
of being the baddie?
yeah,
Are we the
Yeah.
baddies?
we've buggered up the planet, so the aliens have come to
Yeah,
wipe us out.
They were.
Start again.
They came in peace, and we shot one.
They didn't really show off the aliens in too much detail, did they?
No, they did look creepy alien though. They did look sort of like monstery, and it
And
was
I
almost
guess-
a predator-like noise at the end.
Yeah, I guess the only thing for me is that they, from what you could see of them, they looked a bit like the aliens of Edge of Tomorrow, which is a great time traveling film about killing aliens. So I'm not sure whether this is going to stack up.
There's a theme there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, if you were an alien monitoring Earth, you would think, well, they're a bit prejudiced, aren't they? All their films are about killing us.
let's go wipe them out
You know,
before they get round to visiting the stars and with the Elon Musk and go and take us. I don't know. I want to like it. I like Chris Pratt and everything like that, and I do like big sci-fis. It's just it's hard to get excited about this. At the
I mean,
moment.
on the plus side, John Travolta isn't in it with dreads, so we know it can't be too bad.
it's always a good sign.
So yeah, I mean, it's on Amazon anyway, so it's free, so it ain't gonna cost us nothing. So I'll probably end up watching it.
Yeah. No, I'll watch it.
I said it's right up my street, so I'd rather watch
And
a bad
and the music.
sci-fi alien film than Capes. So happy days for me.
And the music wasn't too loud, was it?
No. It was the level of music you would expect from a sci-fi film. No beats dropping and weird keyboard loops and
Beach dropping.
nonsense like that.
Yeah, so that was that one, and our last item in the drop zone is the caveat trailer, which is coming to Shudder. And in the film, a lone drifter called Isaac accepts a job to look after his landlord's lease, Olga, for a few days in an isolated house on a remote island. What could go wrong? It seems like easy money, but there's a catch. He must wear a leather harness and chain that restricts his movements to certain rooms. Once Olga's Uncle Barrett leaves the two of them alone, a game of cat and mouse ensues as Olga displays increasingly erratic behavior as a trapped Isaac makes a series of horrific discoveries in the house. And it's written and directed by Damien McCarthy and stars Ben Kaplan, who was in Band of Brothers, but then so with everyone. Oh, he's in Call the Midwife as well. Jonathan French and Lula Sykes. And
So I'm going to say the
this-
obvious before anyone goes any further, which is obviously
It's
the
too loud?
Duracell bunny
no,
did not do well in lockdown.
it did not, and it's very freaky now.
Mm.
I don't like it. But I can-
Although not as freaky as General Woundwort in Watership Down.
no one was as freaky as a general. But I can see that little bunny thing could be like almost a new horror little
Christmas
bit of
present.
iconography there. Yeah, I can see it on people's shelves. When you walk in. No, but it will be. That'll be the sort of thing. It'll be like the little weird cyclist man from Saw and things like that. People have it on the shelf. Or what was the one from Hellraiser? What do they have in that?
It's not important.
Well, you had the box. Do you mean
Yeah,
do
that's-
you mean the box?
Yeah,
puzzle
the box. Was it a puzzle box, Damien?
Yeah.
Might have been. Don't like it.
That really did freak you out, wasn't it? The
I don't like
box was
puzzle boxes.
Right, we'll move on. You're getting to see you're swinging in your chair now, so we'll change the subject. But yeah, no, it looks really messed up and kind of in a good way. So I'm on board.
I'm on
Haunted
board,
houses are always a
100%.
good thing.
Yeah, as I said, this is just another. I'm not sure the feather in the cap for Shudder. It looks like they've got a decent horror film there.
No, definitely. And I was going to say it might be one we could review at some point if we all get the chance to see it when it drops.
Do we know when that is?
Um,
Did it say on the
I am
trailer?
just looking now. No, this is coming to Shudder.
Bastards.
And then they get the scary button. Now streaming only. It just says streaming only on Shudder. It's probably so they can use the same trailer on all the different Shudders. There's a UK in there and a US one and all that. Now I've just got like the scary rabbit doing the drums again now. And now I'm really scared. You just made me watch that again.
That's
So
what you
yeah,
get for talking
so that's
about puzzle
caveat coming to Shudder, and yeah, we're all on board for that one. So that's everything we've got in the drop zone this week, which means now it's time for
News desk.
the news.
News items.
Yeah. So one of the big news stories that's broken in the last week or so is that Oscar Isaac has now been officially confirmed as Marvel's Moon Knight,
Whoopie doo.
and he
I
does
don't
have
know
a
what that
cape,
actually
but-
means. So
Well, Moon Knight is a character. Again, he's one of the what I would call a B character. He's he's got his following, but he's never been to me one of the big heavy players. But he is a bit weird in his own way. So I think it could be a good film because the character who gets the powers actually has like a sort of dissociative identity disorder, sort of multiple personality thing going on, and so he's not quite necessarily the right man to be bestowed upon with all sorts of powers, and so if they play it the right way, we may even get some kind of WandaVision-y kind of real trippy stuff, or we could even get maybe something a little bit darker than our normal sort of red, white, and blue American Pie and with a slice of cheese, sort of superheroes, or we may get like maybe something a bit more grittier and violenter, but we'll see. But Oscar Isaac is a great actor, so I'm excited that he's got the role rather than they've just gone for like.
I'd like to think I may have had a hand in him being announced as getting this role after choosing him for one of the cast I'd have in The Mask. Yeah, I'm not saying it's all down to me, but they obviously picked up on the fact that he's a talent that should be used.
Yeah, because Hollywood hadn't heard of him before you picked him for your Mask casting.
Well, yeah, I just like to think I gave him maybe a nudge. Although I'm looking on IMDb now, and he's in Metal Gear Solid coming up as Solid Snake.
Well, there you go. See, he's a busy man. I mean, he was already Apocalypse in the X-Men film, which was an apocalypse, but he wasn't the worst thing about that.
Right.
Obviously Star Wars, and I'm sure he did something else. I haven't got it in front of me now, but yeah, he's backed up everything he's been in, and yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops the character, and also looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with Moon Knight, because Marvel seem to have a very good hit rate or what do you call it, a very good batting average for our American fans lately of like the characters like Guardians of the Galaxy were never an A-list character. Iron Man wasn't really an A-list character. He was kind of around them, but he was the one sort of no one really liked. And they've taken them and they've done well with them. So Scarlet Witch and all that. They've turned it into. They've made them more impressive on screen than they have been in the page, which doesn't always happen. So we'll see what happens on that, but it will be a very interesting one. and a bit more magic-y and a bit more cosmic in that as well. So I'm hoping for a bit more sort of the trippier end of the Marvel universe rather than, let's save everyone and be heroes and wear capes. So it might be one for you, Damien, because it might be cape. Although he does have a cape, it might not be, cape-like.
Keep fear.
Yeah, cape fear.
I'll wait for you to watch it and you can tell me if it's
Well, I will, and then you'll ignore me anyway.
quite possibly. There is a very strong chance of that happening.
Also, that is what's going to happen. There's no strong chance. Also, in the sad news this week, we lost Joe Lara, who was the 90s Tarzan in the TV series in a plane crash. And we also lost Shane Bryant, who was in many of the old Hammer horror films and was also in Hawk the Slayer. He passed away as well. So a couple of sort of cult icons of the TV and film screens there who are no longer with us. But then also, though, another news item, which is something I only recently became aware of, is the new series that drops on HBO this September, The Many Saints of Newark, which is the prequel to The Sopranos. What do people think about that?
I think it's going to struggle. There's obviously
it's
a
tough act, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of love for Sopranos. Everything about The Sopranos, the cast, the direction, even the time that it was made, it's got a lot to live up to. And I don't think, with the best will in the world, people's idea of what life was like, what characters were like prior to the start of Sopranos, you've got your own image of that in your head. A bit like when you read a book and then it gets adapted, and there's always going to be the people that say it's not as good as the book or whatever. So I think it's going to be it's a tough act to follow, and I think it's going to struggle unless they get everything spot on and perfect, which is obviously very hard to do.
Definitely. I mean, I do stand correct. I said series. Sorry, it is a film. It is a film. Sorry.
Oh, it's a film, is
not
it?
A series. Yeah, it's HBO box office, not HBO.
Apparently,
I misread that.
And apparently, Michael Gandolfini, who's James Gandolfini's son, is playing the young Tony.
That's what I mean. So they've gone. You can't argue with that, can you? He don't look nothing like him. He does.
And it's got Ray Liotta in it, allegedly.
Yeah, it'll pop up. Well, it's going to have all those. But there can't be many that weren't in The Sopranos. The normal
wise guys.
Yeah, wise guy gangster 101s that have been in it.
Yeah.
Vera Farmiga's in it as well, who is we were talking about the other day, the hauntings and what they're called. The Devil Made Me Do It and all that.
Conjuring universe.
Conjuring, yeah, from the Conjuring universe and Bates Motel. And Raw as well. With Heath Ledger, the sword and sorcery TV show of the early 90s.
Oh, not the wrestling.
No. But no, yes, I say no. I agree with what you said though, because a lot of these stories have already been told in The Sopranos. Like there is that. I mean, I've got the box set. I've watched it, or I've never watched the end because I could never bring myself to do it. And then after James Gandolfini died, I was like, well, I don't want it to end at all now. So I've never watched the last part of the last series. I've got it, but I've never watched it. It remains sealed on my shelf. But I may have to bust it out for this. But a lot of the backstory, and you got the flashbacks and that as well. But so if they get something wrong, they're going to get hammered. Like if Tony Soprano crosses the street on the shops on the wrong side of the street or something, people are going to go.
I'm struggling for the reasoning behind doing a film that's a prequel to The Sopranos, apart from just cashing on the Sopranos universe, as opposed to doing a different mafia or film.
Well, he always what's his face? David Chase always said he would never carry it on because how it ended is how it ended, and that's it. But I guess I don't know what led him to maybe go back more. Maybe he might have had loads of other stuff that he's not done, like, because he planned it all out, didn't he? Mind you, George Lucas always said that, and we knew that was a lie. But, he's got all this, like, what happened and written down and all that. So maybe we thought, well, actually, maybe we could go back and make a few of these. And I imagine this will be one of those ones that we're either going to get one film, or if it works, well, then we might get another one next year, or maybe a mini series. I mean, this is basically this is the rock and chips of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be good, but everyone will go, yeah, but it's not The Sopranos, is it?
Well, this is it. You kind of know, unless they introduce characters that weren't even talked about in the series, you know pretty much the outcome of their journey. So
yeah, I'm sure there will be other people or just odd names that have been mentioned.
Well, how far back do we know? Sort of how far back?
It's aiming. I'm just looking for It's going to be set in the 1960s and 70s in Newark, New Jersey, using the 1967 riots in the city as a backdrop for tensions between Italian American and African American communities. So they're kind of basing it on the city's history. And I guess, so if they did it cleverly, then this could almost be a bit like Watchmen was or something like that, where you've got these real life historical events that you can really shine a light on, and then just sort of slot these characters in amongst it, or a bit like, what was it called? Summer of Sam. Do you remember that film?
Yeah.
And like that, maybe it could be, if they could pull it off like that, where it's more, these are characters we know in a situation, rather than if they're all going around doing what we know they do later on. It's a bit, if we don't want
it
the
doesn't even
finished
really
wise guy
sound
yet.
like it's far enough back to be a kind of, the new generation taking over, does it? Because if you think of their ages when The Sopranos is set, it's not like you'd be watching the beginning of Goodfellas, for example, where it's, I always wanted to be a gangster, but it's, a journey from that age through, and they do it very quickly in Goodfellas. But if it's set in the 60s, then it's not going to be that far back for their age group, is it?
Yeah, because looking at Michael Gandolfini, James Gandolfini's son, he's aged between 21 and 22. They haven't got an exact date of birth for him on Wikipedia. So, if Tony's going to be 22, that puts everyone else in line, or say 20s, because
Hollywood and all that.
Yeah, America, or to be fair, he might be 12, because you know what American teen dramas are like. It's 12-year-old Tony Soprano, or whatever, Luke Perry was 15 for about 30 years, so.
True.
Yeah, so now I'm hopeful. I think it'll be good, but it's just that one, if they do that one thing that messes it up, then everyone will be all over it.
Well, and the other thing is, hasn't got going for it is Sopranos lasted a few series, and they've got one shot of film to try and compete.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think there's part of me that thinks doing a series would have been a better idea.
Even if it's just a mini series or something.
Yeah. It's probably a glorified, in all honesty, it's probably a glorified TV pilot anyway, isn't it? Like if everyone loves this, there's going to be another one. If everyone doesn't, it's like, well, I told the story I wanted to tell, or whatever, and I had an experiment. But yeah, so that is our last news item. So, and it's pretty big news because can it reclaim the glory The Sopranos once had?
No.
There you go. Paul has spoken.
Yeah, so that is our news items this week. So has anyone got anything else they would like to
see, because I've been on holiday, I've not had a chance to look at cancellations and renewals. So, I'm woefully unprepared today. And I apologise for that.
Unfortunately,
we forgive you.
And unfortunately, I thought we were going to get cut off at any time by Zoom. So I think I've just rushed through everything. I've got nothing else to say now. That's it. Done. Spent. Used up.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, then
I feel like we need to apologise to our listeners for this.
I do. I think I feel like I've let everyone down.
You have.
I think we all have.
You haven't let everyone else down. You've just You've just let yourself down.
Okay. I can live with that. I do that every day anyway.
Right. So that concludes the news desk today. And what we'll do now is move across to the round table. It's like play school, where we do our discussions. And our discussions
We've got to come up with a new jingle.
can do.
No one warned me about this. Okay. Maybe not for this episode.
Maybe not. Stay tuned. There may be a jingle. You never know. And in round the round table today, we are going to be discussing the upcoming action thriller Nobody, which hits UK cinemas on the 9th of June. It is directed by Ilya Nashula, and it stars Bob Odenkirk, Connie Nielsen, Alexei Sebrakaryakov, the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, Michael Ironside, Colin Salmon, and Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
So, without giving too much away right now, what we got first impressions, gentlemen?
But do you want to give it a bit of background about what the film's about?
I suppose I could. Okay.
I've got a synopsis here if you want it.
Oh, okay. You can go for it. Go for it. You have to do it in the voice.
I've got to do it in the voice, have I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then can you read out all the people that are in it again?
No, we've done that. We don't need to do that again. Hutch Mansell fails to defend himself or his family when two thieves break into his suburban home one night. The aftermath of the incident soon strikes a match to his long simmering rage. In a barrage of fists, gunfire, and squealing tires, Hutch must now save his wife and son from a dangerous adversary and ensure that he would never be underestimated again. That actually doesn't give you much about what the film's about, to be fair. But
he's got a daughter as well.
yeah.
He don't worry. He kills her himself now.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did mostly. Yes. I'll explain that. No, I enjoyed it, but there was just, I'll explain that later on. Paul?
Yeah, no, so I'm a big fan of Bob Odenkirk. I did enjoy it. Okay, so obviously it kind of reminded me of an in-between between Mr. and Mrs. Smith and John Wick, you know, taking it from that couple that are trying to have a normal life, which is what Bob Odenkirk's trying to do. He's trying to go about his life. He's left the past behind him, and he does that very well. All the mundane routine of going to work and all that kind of stuff, and his new job, and then obviously things take a turn, and out comes his old self, and he manages to play that, that old killer quite well as well, quite convincing. Yeah, so I mean, we'll talk about it in a bit more detail, but yeah, I did enjoy it.
No, cool. I will say from this point on, there will be spoilers, people. So if you are worried about it, this is the bit now where you need to maybe give us a pause and come back after you've seen it when it's out.
I was going to say, if you just pause and then replay, we'll just still be talking about the same thing. I get you now.
Yeah, but they got to wait. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, we don't now go, I listened to it and you totally ruined it for me. No, we've given you a warning. This is your chance.
There'll
now.
be spoilers here.
There will be. So it reminded me a bit of the history of violence as well.
Yeah.
From a few years ago. That kind of, you know,
I think the tone's
now
different.
Yeah,
the tone is a little. Sounds a daft thing to say for the amount of violence in the film, but the tone is lighter than History of Violence.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the bits. That's one of the bits where it lost me a little bit, because it kind of wasn't at the beginning, and it was very much. It reminded me of Edgar Wright kind of directing. You know, like the short, sharp bits through the day. You know, like the trash, the thing, the spreadsheet. You know, like as it went through, as it kind of chopped through his day and then the week and whatever. Reminded me a lot of what Edgar Wright does in sort of his films. I thought that was quite cool. And you got the sort of the idea of this sort of monotonous life that this guy has, and you know, like he says, "Who are you?" He says, "I'm nobody." He's in this plain life. He's got his wife and his two kids, living day to day. nothing too exciting going on, but obviously there's a lot more going on under the surface. So if anyone wants to pick it up from there, of me just going through the whole film.
Is that what your opening gambit was? You enjoyed it to a point. Is that what you meant by that?
Well, no, to me it was like, as it developed. I think I was totally on board until the Russian crime lord people turned up at the house, and then it just kind of. I think that was when the grit went, and it became a bit more of the 18. Or
Yeah.
maybe not the 18, but do you know what I mean? That kind of, MacGyver kind of, one man taking down like 20 Russian terrorists on his own.
Well, it wasn't
was like-
just on his own. Let's not forget.
He was in the house.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, but yeah, back up.
Yeah, that's later on.
And he
That's later
did
on.
destroy all that money on his own as well.
Yeah. And it was that was where it sort of, it wasn't, I did not like, but it almost shifted a little bit then. And then later on, when like the big showdown at the end with, with Christopher Lloyd and the Razza from the Wu-Tang Clan coming into it as like his sort of, but I couldn't work out. Well, they were brothers, weren't they? But I couldn't work out if they were half brothers or what the story was there because they didn't really go into it.
No, they didn't. I just
If they
assumed
did,
it
I
was some
missed that
sort of
bit.
adoptive brother situation.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you saw the picture when they were kids,
Mm.
didn't you, of them and all that. But and that was when it just went almost like, to me, that was when it went into Kick-Ass.
That's what I liked
And
about it.
was
I
just
liked.
started- yeah,
the
I know I
silly
liked it, but it wasn't.
that.
If it had been like that all the way through, I think I'd been all right. But almost, like when he's on the bus, and that scene is kind of almost a bit Harry Brown, Death Wishy kind of. Like it was almost a serious fight, and then we end up with like Christopher Lloyd. I mean, I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. It almost like the tone changed a little bit for me, and it just went a little bit sillier.
John
And then
Wick.
like the end, and the mid credit scene as well with Christopher Lloyd and the RZA in the
Yeah.
van was funny, but it was just sort of, I don't know. Mind you, I wouldn't mind seeing them two in their own show now.
Definitely.
Just those two driving around with basically what can we describe as a
Auditing.
shitload of guns. Yeah, auditing, yeah. And but no, I definitely enjoyed it, and I'd watch it again. But it was just that little, I don't know, it kind of changed the tone a little bit halfway through, and it's exactly what the History of Violence did as well, where that was sort of 3/4 a really good movie, and then it just went really stupid at the end, where he pretty much walks into like the bad guy's lair and just takes everyone out, and it just kind of, and that was even like a deadly serious tone at the beginning, so it kind of lost it at the end as well in that film. But it was good though. I enjoyed it. Some nice twists and turns along the way. Always good to see Michael Ironside on the big screen. And
Yeah, I
but
think
he's-
there's a conversation
he was
that needs to be
definitely.
had.
Go on.
He is certainly making the most of and enjoying his, I guess what you would call semi-retirement. He is not
Yeah.
the Michael Ironside of the 80s and 90s, is he?
But you know why, don't you? Because he's getting ready for his big role as Miles Mayhem. He was pretty much. He had the tash growing in. Did you see it? He had
Yeah.
the tash growing in.
No,
Yeah,
I
I looked at him.
see that.
I also saw myself for 30 years, which was quite funny. but yeah, but he's not a spring chicken anymore.
Well, to be fair, I think I felt the same when Paul Weller,
Oh, well,
for Christ's sake, RoboCop, Peter Weller popped up
Peter
in
Weller.
Sons of Anarchy. It was a bit of a shock
Yeah.
to the system because you hadn't really seen him for quite some
Yeah.
time, and suddenly one of your 80s heroes is old.
Yeah. Buckaroo Banzai is an old man who works on the docks. Yeah, no, I just looked at it. Michael Ironside's 71 now, so he's. And the other bit I really liked as well was the guy that worked at the FBI that they had all the photos of at the Gimp shop, whatever, was the fake Moby from How I Met Your Mother.
Was it?
and he was also the fake dean in Community. Well, in Community, I think he was called Phoebe, because he was a Moby lookalike, and then they hired him to replace the dean in Community as well. So yeah, so as I saw, I was like, oh, cool. I really liked the Russian mob dude. I don't know if I've seen him much in anything before. Just to come in and almost that Goodfellas like shot of watching him across the street, walk through, have a drink, and then end up on the stage doing karaoke.
Yeah,
I need to watch it back because I couldn't remember.
And then instantly turn violent because he felt like he had to prove himself.
Yeah, no, I like that guy. I don't think I've seen him in anything before. If I have, nothing that sticks out to me.
Yeah.
But sure that he's been really Russian. He's probably been in loads of films that I haven't even seen. I'm just looking through now, actually.
Surprisingly, it hasn't popped up in Arrow when what's his name was.
Yeah. No, they used Dolph Lundgren instead. But yeah, no, there was some nice bits. Any other favourite moments for anyone else?
I would say a bit like you, that there was a bit that let me down. Is just the ending felt a little bit rushed, or the destroying, taking down the I've forgotten what they call that, the money that goes around, the millions of dollars that's sort of, I forget what it's called now, but that was all a bit rushed. Could have made a little bit more of that, I think. But other than that, when Christopher Lloyd pops up in the warehouse, that's just awesome.
Yeah,
And
Christopher Lloyd was definitely
sat his chair.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Christopher Lloyd was enjoying himself, and half of it he didn't have to stand up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ob shack.
That's it.
Of all the money.
That's right. I mean, I liked it. So again, I like the way he didn't just snap. There was a series of events that drew him back into the world. It started off with the robbery at his house. He felt a bit like he let down his son. That was playing on him. They stole his kid's, what was it, bracelet or something.
Bracelet. But that was what done it. That was a put the bunny back moment, wasn't it?
But then he goes and gets the bracelet back, and then he realizes that actually maybe they weren't as bad as he kind of thought they were. So he was second guessing himself, but it started him on that journey of his old life.
Yeah, they never had the bracelet, did they? It was on the floor all along.
Exactly, yeah. But then he's on the bus and things escalate quite quickly and goes full on John Wick. And then you're right. So it takes us from that, which again was a cracking fight sequence, and that was a nice thing with Bob Odenkirk, where he's really hit the weights to prepare for the film. It was more believable watching him doing the action sequences than Liam Neeson.
That's what I was going to say. It was really nice because it was a realistic fight sequence. It wasn't nothing over the top. There were no backflips, super spin kicks, or anything like that. It was just sort of the sort of thing most people could actually do if you were fighting. It was nothing stupid or.
I need to start attending your
It was.
I need to start attending your jiu-jitsu classes, because if that's normal.
There was nothing that would be a normal thing. If you're getting the night bus home one day, you might see things like that. You might see someone get hit by a bar or stabbed in a leg or something. It wasn't like no one was catching bullets in their teeth and then chopping something through or whatever. And and when he was getting hurt, like he got thrown through the window, you saw the damage. No one was. Everything was happening, and they just stand back up, and their hair was perfect again.
Although he still did manage to shrug it off throughout the film, though.
That was his secret agent training, or whatever it was.
It wasn't potentially as realistic as some of it.
Cracked his wrist to get out of the the handcuffs, and then 2 seconds later, no longer in pain because of his hand. But they're little things. Still, as I said at the very top of this, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't really want to have a bad word said about it. Not from my lips, anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, nothing bad to say. I just think, like you're saying, that sort of halfway through, I think they didn't know what they wanted. I don't know if they lost their identity on it a little bit, or the tone just sort of changed a little bit for me, and that was where it just sort of, it was still fun to watch, but it just kind of it didn't quite match up to the previous bit. It was almost a slightly different color or a different shade.
It escalated quite quickly. As I said, it goes from going to get back a bracelet, big old fight scene on a bus, to taking on the whole of the mafia, and the levels of violence quite quickly escalated as well.
Oh, and the random bit where he had to go and see the barber.
Yeah,
that was funny. When the old timer just goes, "Thanks for your service," and just locks and bolts himself in the safe room.
Oh yeah, on the tattoo guy. Yeah, he knew what the tattoo.
Oh,
No, I'm all about the one.
Yeah, sorry.
I forgot his
bit.
name now.
That was a bit Colin Salmon.
Yeah.
Colin. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin Salmon. Yeah. And he was just like, gives him the folder and whatever.
Yeah, I think that was almost. There's a couple of scenes, that one, and then obviously the ending. But I think there's another scene somewhere in the middle that's almost kind of just setting up another film. To turn this into a franchise, to find out more about those, like the barber, and obviously the.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. I can see more, and I think we're going to get more because it only costs 16 million to make, and it's took 48.9 already, and it's not even hit Europe yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's been out in China or not. So it's doing all right, especially in half the country is locked down for COVID and whatever else around the world. So yeah, it's doing well. And the other bit I thought was really interesting. Though, sorry to get in, we don't know much about the wife. Was she an agent as well? Because she's like, it's like old times, isn't it, and all that sort of thing. But you never. So maybe the next one will be something that maybe like, I don't know, something happens out shopping and she has to go and get her old badge or something.
No, I'd hope not, because that just really would be too much like Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
We don't
I
need
don't know. I think it's there. I think,
Hmm.
but they never actually say what, she knows is his old life. Because at first I thought, oh, maybe she doesn't know what he was, and they talk about it, and clearly at the ending, she knows what's going on because she's the one that says about like, does it have a basement?
Yeah.
Like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Does it? And it was So no, I've been interested in where it takes it, and also you've got granddad and half brother driving around in a van full of machine guns.
That's
and
the film
whatever
I want
else
to see.
he had in it.
I want to see more Christopher Lloyd kicking ass with guns.
So you've got this kind of weird Little Miss Sunshine thing going on, but with machine guns and whatever else. So yeah, and I think it's got potential, but it's almost like, say, it almost changes from this sort of drama of this guy trying to escape his past, but gets pushed too far and kind of kicks off, and then it just turns into like, Kick Ass or the A-Team or something like that, and it's
I must admit the A-Team pastiche thing with the factory that he works in. I thought they took that maybe just a little bit too far, but yeah, as I said, there's nothing that we haven't necessarily seen before, but it was done really well.
No, it was done well. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I enjoyed it. I'm just saying, it's a picking holes in it. That would be the bit that I would say just sort of
the tonal shift midway through.
Tonal shift, midway,
your enjoyment of the movie.
I liked also one of my favourite bits actually was when the smug FBI people near the end got like shut down. They didn't even just great, all they did was answer a phone, but they sold it so well because they didn't really say anything. It was just that kind of listening, looking at him, listening to the phone, looking at him, and then and it was where both their phones go off at the same time. That was things like that. You can do a lot without saying anything, and sometimes in those films you need to say everything really loud whilst a gun's being shot, and those little things just sort of, I like things like that because we don't know what's being said, but our brains are filling it in, so it leaves it to the audience.
Yeah, the sort of thing we've seen quite a few times, not necessarily played that way, but you see it in a lot, don't you? The FBI director or someone further up the chain has told them to just drop it. There's nobody. Then go.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, and he got a cat for his daughter at the end.
Yeah.
Which was nice because it was put in earlier on, wasn't it? Like, what is in that ceiling or whatever it was, wasn't it? It was mentioned a couple of times through it. There was some noise in the ceiling or whatever it
Raccoons or
was.
something. And the daughters was, I think we should get a cat. So
I just like Christopher Lloyd being badass when he's in the home. That short scene was just really cool.
No, definitely. Yeah, it was a really good film. Okay, if I have to put it on a score, then what are we going to go for out of 10, gentlemen?
So I would give it an 8, and that's it's 2 points lost just because of the rushed feel to the ending. All that. This wasn't really the ending either, was it? It was actually just that bit about getting rid of the money, whether we called it. I've forgotten already. They could have played that a little bit stronger.
Probably going to give it a 7.5.
0.5.
Yeah, I'd be around that. I think.
Yeah.
I think the more I rewatch it, though, I think the more I'm going to like it. So it's
yeah.
I
mean, as I said, I think it's too similar for me to give it more in points. But what it did really well. There are just a couple of bits in there that just didn't feel right. Didn't sit well with the rest of the film, or it just seemed a bit OTT. And I didn't really like the 18 few minutes of the film. That seemed a bit over the top. And but yeah, I'm not going to say it's a bad film. It's absolutely not. It's a really good film.
No, definitely. It is a fun watch. It's an action-packed watch, and it's pretty violent. So don't think it's not. Don't think it's Wonder Woman's mum and that dude from Breaking Bad who wears a suit. It's not. They do get. There's a lot of dirt and violence and blood, guts, and gore in there as well. So if you do like a good film, it's probably actually the fight scenes are probably better than some of the more martial arty films that have been out recently that have, it's supposed to be providing that. I think there was a lot more in this if you do like a nice fight scene. So yeah, maybe 7.5. Yeah, 7.5.
There you have it. That's our verdict on Nobody.
Available soon. Okay, and so that just about wraps us up this week. For all the latest news and views, do check out cultfaction.com. Be sure to rate us, review us, share us, and everything on the podcast, which is available from all your usual podcast apps. And we'll be back next week with.
Don't forget to email us.
And you can email us as well. Damien, what's the email?
The email is
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
There you go. I said that without even
awesome. Teamwork.
Is the only thing I can remember.
So it's a farewell from me.
It's good evening from me.
And it's good night from me.
We'll see you soon. Stay safe. Watch out for the rushkies.
See you tonight.
She's like the All right, Jeremy Beadle.
I can't hear anything. Sound my soul to MSN or whatever.
That's over the guitar, man. I really